Hey guys, Justin here with AmericanMuscle.com. Today we're taking a closer look at and installing a set of C&L rear brake calipers available for a wide variety of 09 to 2020 Challengers. Now, for specific fitment, please reference the site to see if these do fit your make and model Challenger. Now, you should be checking out these options from C&L if your factory rears are seized, maybe they've just seen better days, or maybe you're looking for a nice pair of red calipers to match an aftermarket set of fronts. Whatever the case, guys, these will be an affordable solution that will have some nice little perks over your standard parts store replacements. All right, talking features here with the C&L options, and I would say the real short and sweet way to sum these guys up will be a slightly better than new factory caliper with the bright red powder coating to help increase the appearance behind your favorite set of wheels. Now, I can think of a few different reasons why these might be beneficial for you. Maybe again, once you've upgraded your fronts or painted the factory front Brembo calipers red, these would be certainly an awesome complement to those upgraded front setups. Now, the only thing that would make this more of an upgrade for the rears is pairing up these calipers with a set of slotted and drilled rotors and matching set of pads, and you will be good to go. Now, if that is something you're interested in, well, you can find a few different options from both C&L and PowerStop here on the site. Now, moving into our construction segment, I do want to point out the fact that these are a remanufactured OE Dodge caliper. And what I mean by that is these do start off life as a factory caliper and then are refreshed, gone through, totally disassembled, and then upgraded from there. Now, for instance, these do receive brand new seals, brand new pistons, boots, hardware, bleeders, everything, you name it. These are essentially a 100% brand new caliper, and then topped off with that bright red powder coat that really does set these apart from some of those generic parts store replacements. Finally, guys, just to make sure everything is tip-top and ready to rock right out of the box, the C&L calipers are each pressure tested first before being shipped out, just to ensure a trouble-free installation and operation. Price point for the pair of C&L rear calipers will hover in that mid to high $100 ballpark, give or take, which certainly makes these very affordable at the end of the day regardless, and only slightly more expensive than those generic parts store options we talked about earlier. But keep in mind, most of those parts store replacements, hell, even your Mopar replacements, aren't gonna kick in things like the bright red powder coat. So if you want that slight little appearance bump on top of a fresh caliper, these will certainly be your best bet. All right, moving into installation, and the site's gonna call this a middle of the road 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter and about 3 hours or so to complete from start to finish. Obviously, there's gonna be some work removing the factory wheels or aftermarket wheels for that matter, factory calipers, reinstalling the new C&L options, and then bleeding the system. So with that being said, just make sure you have some fresh .3 on hand before getting started. But now to give you a better idea of just how this one might go down at home, check out this detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown.
Tools required for this install include an impact gun, a ratchet, hose clamps, 10 and 18 millimeter wrenches, a caliper hook, an extension, 13, 15, and 18 millimeter swivel sockets, 11 and 13 millimeter sockets, and a brake bleeding device. What's up, guys? Today we're installing brakes on our Challenger, so let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is clamp off our brake line so that we don't lose a bunch of fluid once we remove our banjo bolt. So I'm taking a pair of hose pliers. We're going to pinch that. Slide this locking tab up. And then we can grab a 13 millimeter socket to just crack our banjo bolt loose. We'll crack it, and then we can work on getting our pads out. Next, we can remove one of the bolts holding our clamshell to the bracket. So I'm taking an 18 millimeter wrench to grab the nut, and a 15 millimeter socket to remove the bolt. And then with that bolt removed, we can open up our clamshell. And that will give us access to remove our brake pads. So we're just going to wiggle these back and forth until they pop loose. And then we can close that back up for now and just loosely thread in our bolt. Next, we can remove our 2 mounting bolts for our caliper bracket. I've got an 18mm socket to pop these out. I'm also going to take a hook and hook this up onto our sway bar, and then I can hook the caliper to the other end so we don't put any tension on that brake line. And then when you go to remove that top bolt, just make sure you keep a hand on the caliper so it doesn't fall. We'll pull that caliper off and hook that onto our caliper hook. Now we can take a 13mm socket and fully remove our banjo bolt. I've got a drain pan right underneath here to catch all the fluid that comes out of the caliper. And then we can fully remove our caliper. So now we're ready to install our new caliper. So I'm going to slide this over our rotor and then we can get our bolts threaded in. Next, we can take an 18mm socket and tighten down our 2 caliper mounting bolts. Now once we have those tightened down, we're going to remove our upper clamshell bolt using a 13mm socket and 18mm wrench. And we'll pull this out so we can get our brake pads in. Next, we can install our hardware as well as our pads. Now once we have our hardware in place, we're going to take a little bit of brake lube to lube up the surface. And the same thing on the other side. And then now we can grab our brake pads. The one with the circle here is going to go on the inside with the caliper piston. So this one will stay outside here. Slide this down and into our hardware. Now we can do the same thing for our inside pad. And then we can fold up our caliper, thread that bolt back in, and then tighten that down with our 13mm socket and 18mm wrench. Next, we can attach our brake line to our caliper. We have a new banjo bolt with a crush washer. I'm going to put that through the outside here, and I'm going to take the other crush washer and put it on the opposite side. And then we'll pull this plug out of our threads. And we can thread our bolt into the caliper. Now you can grab an 11mm socket on a ratchet to tighten this down. And you're just going to tighten it down enough so that these copper washers start to expand to make that seal. And then with that tightened down, you can remove your hose pliers. And then you can repeat that whole process on the other side. So now we're ready to bleed our brakes. Now you're going to want to start with the caliper farthest away from the master cylinder, which in this case is going to be the passenger side rear. So I've already done that. So now we're on the driver side rear. So we're going to pop this little cover off of our bleeder valve. And I've got kind of like a homemade brake bleeding device. I've got some brake fluid in the bottom of a plastic bottle, drilled a hole through the cap to put a tube. I've got another smaller relief hole here so that we don't build up pressure in here. Once you pop the hose off, brake fluid will just go everywhere. So I'm going to grab a 10mm wrench to put on our bleeder valve. And then I'm going to put that tube from our water bottle onto the valve there. And then I've got a buddy in the driver's seat who's gonna press the brakes when I tell him to. He's gonna hold the brakes down. I'm gonna crack open this bleeder valve. We're gonna get some fluid coming out, and then I'm gonna close the valve. He can get off the brakes, and then we'll just keep doing that until we have a steady stream of fluid. So go ahead and press the brakes. All right, press it. Press it. Press it. Press it. Press it. Press it. So now I've got a steady stream here with no air bubbles. So we're all done with this one, and you can move on to the next. Pull that off, and then just make sure that that valve is all the way closed, and you're done with this side. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the C&L Performance Series rear brake calipers in red for your 2009 to 20 Challenger GT, RT, Rally Redline, and XXT with dual piston front calipers and vented rear rotors, and 2011 Challenger SE with dual piston front calipers and vented rear rotors. Thank you for watching, and for all things Challenger, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.